If there is a message for us today, I believe it is to learn to live from our heart in love. These short lessons, hopefully, will help to inspire you to live with purpose, love passionately, and inspire others. We are the change agent our world needs. I'm Helen Toews. Step into the river today with me to explore the mysteries of God. They are not hidden from us, but for us to discover. So happy I'm finding all the right buttons. Anyway, we've been in conversation. As you know, we have a chat time before we start the lesson time on the river. And what we've been doing, what we decided to do last week, now that we're at the beginning of this is our new year, that we're going to record the session, and then we're going to put that onto the website like we've normally done. But we're not going to include the chatting time with what we call the Hollywood Squares, because what's happening is we're getting to know each other so well, and it's so much fun. And the conversation, as if anybody is aware, when you just converse with friends and let it flow, is a lot differently than when you think it's going to be recorded and there's 500 people that are going to watch it. So that's where we've landed with that. These first 3 weeks of September is getting us back into the swing of things. We have some very controversial subjects that are going to come up in the next few months. And I really wanted to lay a foundation for us for those times, and that foundation really comes from the river's mission statement. It's my personal value statement, really. And I thought, well, I'm going to take just those 3 weeks and divide that up, spend a little time together in meditation, and offer that as well. But the three areas of living life with purpose, loving passionately, and inspiring others are the three core values that I've had for many years. I've felt that living purposefully really brings life to whatever you're doing. It's not letting things just happen to you randomly, and we unpacked that a little bit last week about the importance of really living with purpose. Tonight we're gonna just take a look at loving passionately. And as I started just to get ready for that, I really believe I just even love the words, to love passionately. But to understand passionate love is really has been really an important factor. Because passionate love is not reckless intensity. It's love that's infused with depth and presence and wholehearted devotion for me. And my understanding to love passionately is to allow myself to be fully engaged, my mind, my body, my heart and spirit, with another person, with life itself, or with a sacred calling, or anything that you're called to in your vocation. I found 7 Greek words that give us the clearest distinction. And now forgive me if my Greek isn't what it needs to be for this. I'm just going to run through them because I've only ever really looked at a few definitions in the Greek for love. But as I thought, they're really 7 different words, and I thought you might enjoy them too, because we're not going to expand on them. But the first one is eros, which is passionate, romantic, and erotic love. Philia is deep friendship, the kind of love that there's loyalty and trust. That's what we have with each other here. There's storge, which is the familial love, and the description I read was, it's a natural affection between parent and child. And you know what? I don't think it's a natural affection at all. I think it's a supernatural affection that parents and children have together. Agape, we're all familiar with. It's that unconditional, selfless, it's a spiritual love, often used in religious or divine contexts. And I remember reading years ago about the word agape, and this author said that word in Greek wasn't even coined until Jesus came to earth and taught love through his life. And I don't know how accurate that is. I haven't checked all this out with a Greek scholar, but Christ so impacted our life and inspired us to this amazing unconditional selfless love. I wouldn't be surprised if that was true. We're still coining words today, words like understanding instead of understanding, those kind of things. Ludus is the playful love, the flirting, the lighthearted connection. I think that's kind of cool. I didn't even know it had that was a name for love. The word pragma is the enduring, practical love. The word pragmatic comes from this root, and it's a love that matures with time. If you've been in a relationship with anybody, or with a mate, with a best friend, you realize that this is kind of a cool love because of the maturity that it brings to your relationship, because it's commitment based. It's a long term. Friends of long standing, husbands and wives, even family members. That mature love is really kind of special. And then the last one, number 7, was philia tuia, which is a self-love, and it's two-faced, and it can mean be a healthy self-compassion that really we're all called to, and I'm going to talk about that briefly tonight. Or it can be unhealthy, which is the narcissistic kind of self-love that there is. Anyway, we find ourselves even in the best relationships having different feelings and emotions, and yet we continue to love. All of these terms have a place in our life at different times. Relationships can be a great example. Spouses, children are the best examples. A mom or dad, I'm sure that some people can identify with this. How is it possible that we can love a child so desperately one moment, like just this passionate, unbelievable, I love you to the moon and back kind of love, and then an hour goes by and you become so frustrated at what they're doing, you don't even like being around the energy that person is bringing into the room? Ever experienced that kind of thing? Kind of goof. Kind of goes with the things that we use love for, right? I love, excuse me, I'm embarrassed to say this. I love hot dogs, I like ice cream, and I love French fries. That's the stupidest comment ever. But I've been known to say it. Not proudly, but I happen to love all those things. Passionate love begins when you experience the moment. Passion begins when you are fully present, giving undivided attention. You cannot multitask and be passionate about something. Passionate love cannot exist in distraction. Passionate love has direction. Passionate love is when you're vulnerable, when we open our heart, when we risk being seen or heard, when we let honesty fuel connection. Passion grows in authenticity. When there's reverence, when we see the person, the purpose, or life as sacred, this reverence to realization wakens awe and respect, and it deepens passion. Passionate love begins when there is expression, when we speak it out, when we show it, when we embody it. Passion needs channels. It needs words, a touch, creativity, or simple acts of care. Passionate love isn't something that you just think about, isn't something that you just meditate into and hope it exists. It really needs expression. Passionate love requires balance. Passion isn't all fire. It must be tempered with patience and listening and gentleness so it doesn't burn out. Loving passionately to me means that I'm aware and I love the energy of Source moving through me without resistance. This doesn't happen outside of me, it's God within, reminding me that life is meant to be felt and lived fully, not half heartedly. I believe and feel that when I love passionately, I'm aligning my heart with the creative force of the universe. To love in this way is done by purpose. Last week, the session was about living with purpose. I'm adding to that right now for this next thought, to live with purpose and love passionately. To do that, I must purposefully awaken the presence within me, to set aside distractions and to see that sacred spark in myself, but see that spark in a person or the moment that's happening before you. Sometimes I have to remind myself that there is a sacred spark within me that can only be ignited on purpose. I have to allow it to be. I make a choice. I must, with purpose, surrender fear or any kind of or of passion, any kind or proportion of it in my life. I have to completely be free from anything that comes and brings any type of angst of any kind. Passion can't coexist either with guardedness. Guardedness implies that when there's something from the outside of us that tries to come in, that we then do we start building walls again. We become distracted, and when we're extracted or we're fearful, don't ignore it. Ask yourself where it's coming from, and then in a time of meditation, and you know how to do this, you reset, but don't ignore it, because fear is really an enemy of unconditional love. When I have learned to trust that love itself is my safety and God is love. To love passionately, I have to take time to reflect. And there's so many places we can go with this. I just want to say moments of meditation, of silence is the only thing that I have found is the place that I can ask myself the hard questions. When I want to live from divine wisdom, not to react to situations that come along, I ask in the quiet moments if there are places that I'm being called to turn up the fire of love, not as a fleeting emotion, but as a sacred practice of living with my whole being, of asking things like, how can I serve, and mean it with all my heart, and truly assessing my own feelings and thoughts of what I have learned and if I need to change anything. As much too as I spend time in those private moments and in meditation and silence, you hear that from me all the time. I really value dialogue and conversation, because I find that when I'm asking these things internally, when I'm asking them in my heart, they're often answered in a discussion, in a discussion, or in a conversation. Do you know, it can be with a child, or it can be with a grandparent. It's not about age or stage of life. It's about communication, and it's about exchange, and it's about caring. Passion is what fuels love. Passionate love is not about grand gestures. It's about consistent energy, curiosity, and depth that is brought into daily life, and it's what keeps relationships alive and prevents them from slipping into routine. It is what becomes the course correction with something or someone that you're passionate about. It's like a garden. It needs to be watered, cultivated, and weeded. Now, I know all these things, and I'm not even a gardener, but I know what it takes to to uh, live in that unconditional love and live passionately. It doesn't just land. It's something that we need to be purposeful about. I must too embody spirit. And that means to speak, to touch, to create, and act as though every gesture carries the divine intention of love. And that's next week's subject. It's the last of our trilogy, so I'm going to pick up on that then. But let's look at spiritual and universal love. I call it divine love because I have a deep personal relationship and understanding of God. This God to me doesn't have a name. God is a title. Paul in the New Testament, in Acts 17, he called God the source. When he met Jesus, all he saw was light. And Jesus called the source Father. And that was Jesus' relational name, and it applied the power of creation through human terms. His humanity, Jesus' humanity in his intimacy, was also evident when he called Father, Abba, or Daddy. And we find ourselves using those terms too, as beautiful examples. When we ask who in history has modeled divine love, we see people whose lives reflected unconditional compassion, forgiveness, unity, and service to others. Some are in ancient times, some spiritual traditions, and there's so many of them. As I was thinking about them, Jesus, of course, comes to my thoughts immediately, because he first of all taught radical forgiveness. Love your enemies. Live in unconditional love. Live with purpose and love passionately. He loved through healing, and he modeled it all for all people. He didn't choose sides. You may be surprised at this one, but I've also been doing some reading in some ancient texts. And do you know that Buddha? I know I may be exiled for this, but his name was Siddhartha Gautama. Buddha was a man, not just a statue for worship. And he embodied compassion, non-attachment, and the desire to end suffering for every being. Quite an interesting character. And he was the Christ to his time. We have the prophets Isaiah, Jeremiah, Hosea in the Bible, and they spoke of God's steadfast love even in the times of human failing. Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, remembered for faithful love, for presence, for spiritual devotions. Rumi, he's a Sufi poet, expressed divine love through ecstatic poetry about union with the beloved. St. Francis of Assisi, love for all creation, embodied humility and sensitivity. Teresa Avila and John of the Cross wrote divine love as mystical union with God, and that description was as close as they could get to comparing it to the union of a man and woman. Sufi saints proclaimed that true worship is loving God. Mahatma Gandhi modeled nonviolent resistance grounded in love. Teresa of Calcutta, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu. We could go on and on of the people that modeled reconciliation and love and caring in our world. And what unites all these people is they all walked in love without condition. That was not based on tribe or religion or worthlessness, but it flowed freely, even in the face of hatred, injustice, and suffering. In essence, love wears many faces. Sometimes they're fiery and passionate, sometimes steady and faithful, sometimes transcendent and divine. Your name is on that list. No one person or religion or culture or country is ever more loved than another. I think some just get more press. Divine love is not modeled in perfection, but the courage to forgive, to include, to heal, and to see sacredness in all. Mystical or sacred love is often described in relation to God, the cosmos, or essence of love. Unconditional love is often described as the highest form of love. Love without conditions, expectations, or requirements. Think about that. It's not dependent on what someone does or says or becomes. It's rooted in the recognition of their inherent worth. This love reflects the essence of divine consciousness, and it is the foundation of true inner healing. Unconditional love offered freely, regardless of circumstances or behavior. It recognizes that all beings are expressions of the same source. And if you're a regular here on the river, you know of my reconciliation with a family member that I hadn't spoken to for many, many years. And when all of the things that I'm sharing right now about offering unconditional love, about not judging, and regardless of circumstances, and not expecting anything from that person, but agreement to move forward. Do you know that episode in my life, and now it's almost 2 years since that has happened, has changed my life more than anything, really. Knowing that unconditional love has a power of its own, it seems, a life force that is so precious, makes everything else pale in comparison. And I want to do a little bit of a sidebar here and talk about sin for a minute. Won't that be fun? Ed's laughing. I was brought up with religious beliefs. Some of those beliefs were that we're born sinful, that we need to be born again to know God, and it's by religious dogma that that's accomplished. Today, I believe that I came here from God, who is good, and I'm going to return to God, who is good. I believe I am made in the image and likeness of my Creator, and I was born into a world conditioned to believe certain things. My programming came from church life, and I was told that God rewards and God punishes. If someone wanted to defend sin, actually, a lot of people have defended sin. But if you wanted to define what sin was, then the sin is an archery term, and it means to miss the mark. We've all heard that, right? Here's my question. Who made the targets that I'm missing? If there were no targets, there's nothing to miss, would I be a sinner? So when I was born, I had to do targets practice with a spiritual bow and arrow in the womb, maybe. Like, where did my sin come from? If that is the definition of sin, is to miss the mark. I just can't imagine that little child with the bow and arrow in the womb. If that's even true, who set up the targets? And next time you feel like you've sinned, I want to ask that question. I've been doing a lot of thinking about that, not about sin, but about what we have determined as sin in our life. And I want to know who made up the targets. Where did it start? Who says what I am doing is sinful? Is it sinful to live in love with another person and not be married? If we look back into history, many cultures didn't have marriage ceremonies. Some still don't. In our society, you are committing sexual sins, moral sins, and if you should have a child, that child is called a bastard. Wow. The interesting thing with all of that, and I've just picked this one little scenario to be dramatic. The government couldn't keep up with the argument, so it established laws now to say that it's legal, albeit common law, and it's now you can love and live and be with the person, and it's okay because now they've got a new name, and it's the same as those who've had a wedding. wow, there's a shifting all the time. By the way, I have I look at it and smile. I look at it and smile. What we've done to create di- diversion from unconditional love. It's a sin to just fill in the blanks. Has it become a sin to love? Society has a moral judgment to it. Do you know that many of the men who wrote inspired text, many of the early church fathers, I actually have a list of them in another study I have done, they preferred homosexuality. Somehow that those kind of things get missed, and they weren't called sin. Unconditional love doesn't mean approving harmful actions or abandoning boundaries. It means holding compassion, even while making wise choices about what to do with your life. I added all those little challenges here because I just wanted us to see, golly, we haven't had really a straight line going from one part of life to another. There's all of these things that we really need to be questioning more and actually having conversations about why do these things matter. The first and most important thing is that when we live from divine love and don't put conditions on it, we don't separate each other and we don't judge and we don't condemn. Should we be protected from those who think differently than ourselves? Can we love differences and let the fixing be to God? Not judging transforms relationships. Not judging dissolves patterns of judgment, of fear and shame. Not judging connects us with divine presence within, and it awakens higher states of consciousness. It gives us freedom and it frees others. By releasing expectations of someone else, we free ourselves from the cycles of disappointment and resentment. We sometimes need to purposefully cultivate unconditional love. There's a saying, put your own oxygen mask on first. I call that self-love first. There's the scripture that we read and it's beautiful. It says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your soul. Love your neighbor as yourself. We read it in that order and we think it's saying to us that before we look after ourselves, we should be looking after other people. But if we don't have oxygen and can't breathe, we can't help somebody else. And we can't love God with all our heart. So it isn't wrong to affirm yourself daily that you are worthy of love and you are worthy of love exactly how you are. And it's not a bad thing to treat yourself with the same kindness that you would extend to a dear friend or a child. We're to see the divine in ourselves and in others. When you feel judgment, pause and silently repeat, this person is also a spark of the divine. Today we have an example of some of the best and worst human choices. And I don't even have to go through any of them in our Facebook feeds or however you get your news, riots, governments, and darling Charlie Kirk's assassination, where there are so many emotions and so many comments and so many ideas that are behind all of these things. How about let's put unconditional love first and let's see where we land with the rest. When we're with another person, practice eye-to-eye postures or listening fully without interruption, and it'll strengthen our ability to see beyond others' behavior. Listening. I remember hearing somebody say once, the way you listen, the way you hear from God is the way you hear from your child or your husband or your best friend. People closest to you, you almost dismiss easier, or you think you can do other things and not listen well. Release expectations. Notice that when you expect others to behave a certain way for you, you're not always in peace because they don't always meet your expectations. Release that. Release those. Practice shifting from saying things like, I need you to, and then fill in the blanks, to, I love you and I choose peace within myself regardless of your choices. Some of these things are hard, aren't they? Remember, unconditional love is not unconditional tolerance of harm. I personally do not suffer fools gladly. If it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, it really is a duck. It's okay to say it. It's okay to share it. And I believe that we have the grace and humility and wisdom of when to say things and how to say them. Often, silence is consent, or being silent means that you're in agreement. Some things are worth speaking out about. Boundaries can be set with love, ensuring that respect is mutual while love remains intact. We can love passionately, and we can watch it rock our world. So tonight, you know what? Before I go on and offer the guided meditation, I want to know if there's any questions to what I just said, because I did a couple of controversial comments. Does anybody want to comment, or we're going to go into discussion later, but if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to address them. I'm not watching the chat. Okay. I think we're good. Okay, so okay, I just saw a flicker. I'm going to set us up here for a guided meditation. This is on unconditional love. This one, as I was just setting my heart to it this afternoon, I'm going to give time for it. I'm going to give time for it to, and not rush us through it, to use it sort of as an example. And I'm looking for the music here as I'm talking. So let yourself, golly, somehow my music thing is not here. Well, maybe it is. Somehow, when we rush through things, you know what, maybe I'll just do it without any music in the background and just let the silence speak tonight. That's probably the best thing to do. Anyway, I'm going to suggest that if it's easier for you to turn your video off and just rest in that, so that there isn't any kind of self-consciousness or anything. And I'm going to turn mine off as well, so that it'll just be my voice coming through. All right. Just find a comfortable place, sitting or laying down, and close your eyes. Take a deep breath through your nose and slowly exhale through your mouth. Be aware of your body right now. Relax with each breath, releasing tension in your shoulders. Just wiggle if you need to. Relax your jaw, your hands. Just rest. Keep breathing in a comfortable manner that's suitable for you, comfortable for you. We're going to bring awareness to our heart space. Imagine a soft golden light glowing at the center of your chest. With each inhale, the light expands. With each exhale, it grows warmer, filling your body with comfort and peace. Silently and gently say to yourself, I am worthy of love exactly as I am. I release all judgment, all conditions. I choose to love myself fully. Allow this love to flow to every cell of your body. Allow it to flow to your mind, your heart, your soul. Give yourself permission to love yourself. Just breathe in the feeling of being loved. Now bring to mind someone you care about. See them standing before you. Imagine seeing that golden light from your heart to theirs. As the light touches them, repeat silently, I love you without condition. You are free to be who you are. May you know peace, joy, wholeness. Just release it freely. You're not asking for anything in return. You are light. You are energy. Allow the golden light to grow brighter, expanding beyond you. See it filling the room. Feel this light continuing to expand. This life can integrate with others. This light dispels darkness. See it grow. There is nowhere this light cannot be. Your energy, your light joins with the light in your friends, family, community, your country. See this light expand from you and embrace the entire earth. this light, all beings are free. In this light, all beings are loved. All beings, all creation is loved. Feel the unity, the one field of light. You are unconditional, divine love, connecting all life. Now gently bring your awareness back to your own heart. Know that this love is always there, an infinite well within you. Just take a deep breath in. Slowly exhale. And when you're ready, open your eyes. I am unconditional love. I give it freely. I give it fully. I am love.